Joining me now is the man who needs no introduction, the new UFC flyweight champion, Brandon Moreno. Brandon, I appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me a couple of days after the win, man. I see you smiling already. I mean, you must be feeling pretty good, right?
Man, I right now I'm living the dream. To be honest with you, I was eating tacos a few minutes ago, so I feel amazing right now. I'm just trying to enjoy this time with my family, with my parents here in Tijuana, and take care of myself.
For sure, man. I was going to ask you what the celebration consisted of. I saw some video earlier today of you having cutting a cake and having a good time with some of your friends and family. And you brought up tacos. Were Legos involved at all, or was that?
Ben, maybe So first of all, I drove to from Las Vegas to Tijuana. It's not too far. It's like 5 hours driving with no traffic. I mean, it's a easy drive. Um, and everything was a surprise for me. And my wife and we went to the gym. One of my coaches was outside of the gym and say like, "Hey, come on, Brandon, come on." Show me the bell and start to say like, "I'm so happy for you," and all that stuff. And then he opened the doors of the gym, and all my teammates, friends, even a group of mariachi was there. Crazy. A lot of food. It was a private party, and was a special moment. A dream come true for me.
For sure, man. And you've got quite the reception on fight week. I want to take you back to, before we talk about the fight itself, I feel like the turning point kind of was that press conference. And we haven't had fans in the arena for a while, so maybe it just struck me as a little bit odd. But to you, I mean, were you even caught off guard at the reception you got? People went nuts for you. I mean, you were right up there with Nate Diaz with the people cheering for you.
Man, the most successful year for me was the last one. The 2020. I fought 3 times, and I fought against Formiga in Brazil. I fought against Roybal in Las Vegas, and then the last one, the fight for the title against Figueiredo in December, was the most successful years of my career. So the people the people is watching the sport and is watching what I'm doing in the sport right now, in my career. So with the press conference, actually, it was my first press conference, even so. The crowd was very happy in that moment. A lot of Mexican people there in Phoenix, Arizona, and I fought in Arizona before to go to the UFC. I fought there like 5 times, like three in Phoenix and two in Tucson, something like that. And man, the people in Arizona know me. I have fans there, and the reception of the people there was amazing. Was incredible, and was nice.
And you must have really felt that in the cage too, because obviously there was a lot of stars on this card, but I feel like you were the guy that kind of stole the show. And when you were in there, the first couple rounds, and you felt like things were going your way, I mean, what did you attribute that to? Was that something, those first 2 rounds, do you feel like you made adjustments from the last fight, or do you think that he was doing things differently? Like, how did those play out compared to, why were they so different per se than maybe the first fight where it was closer?
Man, I think was the perfect storm. You know, uh, was a combination because this training camp was so hard for me. I used all these 6 months to prepare myself for another work. I make the perfect game plan. It's weird because you always try to make a game plan for the fight, and when you go to and fight with your opponent, something changed, and you need to make judgments in between the fight, and But now everything was perfect. Everything was perfect, and that was uh, was weird because this you almost need to you need to change something between the five, like the most part of the time. But now the game plan was perfect. So the training camp was so hard, was so long, and at the same time, Figueredo looks different. Like I don't want to say scared, but I I really believe he doesn't was prepared for another war with me, And for me, in my personal situation, I was ready to die. It was necessary to get that belt.
And in that third round, when you went out there, you had the first two successful rounds. The third starting. What's your mindset going into that third round?
The same one, bro. The same one. I was very focused in my game plan. I was very focused in Figueiredo. Um, Again, the game plan was exactly what I wanted to happen in the middle of the fight. Try to put pressure on, try to go forward, always make him uncomfortable in every single second of the round, and that works so hard. That works enough to get the body lock, get the takedown, take his back, and then start to work for the rear naked choke.
For sure. And when you got that choke and you felt the tap, it was kind of interesting, right? We've seen champions win before, and sometimes people go nuts right off the bat, but it almost felt like to me you were kind of soaking it in. Like you were focused on the crowd, you were looking at the cage, you were looking at your opponent. Could you talk to me about what was going through your mind before you kind of broke down there in the middle of the cage?
I was trying to keep my focus. Uh, at the same time, I was trying to be very, very smart, to be very patient, because I tried the first time to get the rear naked choke, but he defends very well. So in that moment, I say to me like, man, if you don't get the submission, just keep the position, keep the body triangle, and and one more round. I knew if I won that third round, the fight was mine. Going to the judges. But I was very patient. I was very smart. I started to work again for the rear naked choke. I tried to distract a little Figueiredo with some punches. Then he gave me the neck, and my arm was under his chin, and that's it. The other part is history.
And when you looked out after you won, after you got up and realized that you were going to be, seconds away from getting that belt around your shoulder, when you looked out in the crowd, you see all the Mexican flags. I mean, did it kind of hit you like how much you're carrying a country? And when the history books are written 100 years from now, everybody will remember there can only be one first Mexican champion, and it's you.
What a crazy journey, bro. What a crazy life I have. I remember when I finished the fight, going to the center of the octagon. I start to watch all the people, all the crowd around the arena. In that moment, every single fighter has a different reaction, but for me, I start to feel like a lot of peace in my soul, a lot of calm in my body, and then like a few minutes later, all the emotions start to come to my body, to my mind, and explode and start to cry. It's funny because when I talk with somebody about the fight, they told me something like, "Hey, man, everything was so emotional. I'm start crying," and I say like, "Man, it's fine. That night was fine. Everybody cried that night. Was very emotional for everybody. So that's perfect."
And we've seen it before when a country wins their first UFC title. We saw it with Conor McGregor and some others. It seems like the country itself starts to fall in love with MMA. Kids start to get excited. Do you feel like that you could have that sort of inspiration on your country, that people are going to look up to you, and one day there will be a couple Mexican champions at once?
Man, that's one of the things I want to do for my country. Obviously, I fight for at first for myself. I fight for my own dreams, and then I fought for my wife, for my daughters, for my family, for my parents who supports me when I started this sport, and for my fans, for my country. And was special. I remember when Cain Velasquez came in 2014 with the UFC in the UFC 180, uh, and that put the mixed martial arts in a really high level, in Mexico. Now I think I have the position to put the sport again in other and better level. So I'm working so hard. I don't I can't not I can say nothing yet, but the UFC and we are working to bring the UFC to Mexico again. So we'll see what happens in the future.
And coming from a country maybe where originally when you were a little kid, MMA wasn't necessarily what it is today. You were the last pick on the Ultimate Fighter that season. You got cut from the UFC at one point. How have you been able to persevere through all of this and stay focused and get to where you are now?
Man, I have a really weird relation uh, with my bad moments of my life, because I hate that moments, was I remember my 2018, the worst year of my life, definitely so far. But at the same time, I'm very grateful with the experience I get from that year, for example, or the experience in the Ultimate Fighter, or other experience, in life. Man, what can I say, bro? It's about discipline. It's about sacrifice. It's about to believe in yourself. The message sound like, like that picture you see in social media, in Facebook, sounds like very simple, but man, it's just keep going. It's just go forward for your dreams, and obviously the opportunities are different for every single guy, in this world. But I think the hard works really pay off at the end of the day.
I think focusing on that time where the UFC was thinking about getting rid of the flyweight division, and when you did part ways with the promotion, did you question it at all, like that you were going to continue to fight? Like, I mean, that must have been difficult where they might not even have your division anymore. So what was kind of the thought process in that? Was there any second guessing of your career?
Man, definitely wasn't a frustrated situation because the decision wasn't personal, the UFC wanted to cut all the division, but then Henry Cejudo fought against TJ Dillashaw and keep his belt and saved the division, and that helped too much to go back to the octagon against Askar Askarov in 2019. um I was very frustrated in that moment, but at the end of the day, if UFC release you to the company, it's not the end of the way. I promise. Just you need to keep going, and you need to keep your work, the sacrifice and discipline, and stay focused in your way, in your journey. And that's it, man. I mean, obviously it was hard. Again, I know I say that before, but was very hard. But here I am. I'm a real example of the hard work and dedication.
For sure, man. And I'm guessing maybe when you were a kid and even now, were you a Julio Cesar Chavez fan?
Man, definitely yes, man.
Did you,
I mean, I'm a huge fan of Julio Cesar Chavez, and I remember his fight against Medrick Taylor. I think it's the most important fight of his career, and it's example for me and for every single Mexican. And I think not just for the Mexican. I mean, he's a living legend around the world for boxing.
and I don't know if you saw, but we actually interviewed him yesterday, and he was very complimentary of your win. He said he thought you were going to be a champion for a long time and that he was a big fan. Did you see those comments, and what are your thoughts on that?
Man, I saw that in the morning, and that moment was so special, because I say that before, I want to be the Julio Cesar Chavez of the mixed martial arts. It's a hard goal, but I know I can do it. At least right now, I'm the first UFC born Mexican champion in the UFC. So I think I'm in the correct way to get that goal.
For sure, man. And let's look into the crystal ball a little bit. Look into the future. Where do you think you go from here? I don't know if you saw yesterday as well. Deiveson Figueiredo did his first interview, and he said in the fight against you, he didn't really feel that great. He didn't feel good coming into it, and he thought that a trilogy would be the right thing to do. Did you see that? Do you think that you should give him that rematch, or do you think that somebody else should be next?
Man, man, come on. So he was very respectful after the fight. I wanna keep that respect of him, So if he start to talk again about excuses, I don't have more comments about that. Talking about the fights, definitely he's a former champ, and the trilogy is a possibility. I need to talk with the UFC. First of all, I need to take some rest because my last fight was in December against this guy, and I remember talking with Dana White, and he told me this like, hey, amazing performance, enjoy your family, enjoy your Christmas, and see you the next year for the rematch. That was special for me, but at the same time put a lot of pressure. I tried to enjoy my family, I tried to enjoy the Christmas, but some part of my mind is, was still in the fight, in the next year against Deiveson Figueiredo. So this training camp was so long, not just for my body, it was so long for my mind. um, we'll see what happened. Obviously a few names there. The fight between Askar Askarov and Alex Perez, I think the winner can be the next one. Cody Garbrandt, he fought against Rod Font in his last one, and he lost, but he's a former champ, and he's always a possibility. Alexander Pantoja is another possibility too. He beat me in the past. Again, the trilogy against Figueiredo, but I think the fight was very dominant. So maybe he he need to fight with another guy first. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
More than fair. And I got to ask you too. I saw after the after your win, you were backstage, and you and Henry Cejudo kind of had some like friendly words for each other, encouragement. I know he's a guy that you've been friendly with in the past. What did you guys talk about in that moment?
Man, he's another possibility. Possibility, you never know. Um, that moment was special, because yes, he was my teammate before in a long time ago. He helped me too much. He opened the door of his house for me. He helped me with some money to keep my training in Arizona, like 5 or 6 months, 6 years, sorry, ago. But and I never had the real opportunity to say thank you, to say thank you so much, Henry, to help me in the past. So I thought that moment to say that to him, and yeah, obviously I was in his character of Triple C, but I knew, and I saw that he was very happy for me, for my performance, and my life in that moment.
And I heard you just say that that would be maybe a potential option down the line. He's been retired, and he's been waiting for something to draw him back, it seems like. And I feel like you and him in Mexico, I mean, seems like that would be a pretty big fight. Would that be something, obviously, that you would be interested down the line, maybe?
Man, definitely yes, it's a possibility. Obviously, he's retired. He's almost a father. He won a marriage with his girlfriend. It's a nice life, brother. It's a nice life. He's talking about to fight against Volkanovski. He's talking about to fight against Perian. He wanted to fight against Figueiredo. So brother, you never know what's happening in the future. Man, I'm the champion, and I need to fight with the guy who UFC says. So I don't know. You never know.
You are the champion, man, and I really appreciate your time. A couple days out from getting that belt wrapped around your waist. So, Brandon, man, always a pleasure. Take care, and congrats again, man.
Man, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for MMA Junkie, and hopefully see you soon.